Hey everyone, welcome to Brand New Take Aim. This week we're with Robbie O'Bryan. New in-season report, Robbie's down in central Missouri. Him and Blake Garrett just filmed a hunt that Robbie killed an awesome deer that he calls Triple G. What an awesome deer. Robbie's known of this deer for the past 4.5 years. 6-year-old buck and just a mega giant awesome deer. Blake filmed it and a great experience, great hunt, a very good story. So I hope you guys enjoy. All right, guys, we are live, Brand New Take Aim podcast, and excited to get another in-season report out to you guys, and excited this week to have Robbie O'Bryan on from, where are you guys at right now, Robbie? You guys in Missouri?
Missouri. Yeah, central Missouri.
Yep. Central Missouri, but I know Robbie shot a good one, and he was with, as everybody knows, Blake Garrett. He was with Blake, and Blake actually got to film this deer, but excited to have Robbie on and kind of hear firsthand how the hunt went down because, man, it's just an absolute mega toad of a deer and just super pumped for Robbie. So it's one of his best bow kills ever. So what's happening, Robbie?
Yeah, it was a great hunt. We had a lot of history with this deer. We had trail camera pictures of him from 4 years. Been following him, been feeding him, trying to keep him on the farm. Missouri, sometimes that's kind of tough. We was able to keep him on the farm and done a bunch more intel on him this year, and finally figured out he was living on the opposite side of the farm that I had been hunting. So moved some sets in over there and I hunted him probably 3 or 4 different times out of that set. But that set, I've got to have some kind of an east wind, so I had to really watch when I went in. And just luck be have it, we had a major cold front come through here last night at about 5 or 6 o'clock, and Blake had killed a really good buck a couple weeks ago. And so Blake had an opening last night, and he said, "Hey, I'll go run the camera for you," because I've been trying to self-film, which is really tough. And, we get in a tree probably around 4 o'clock, and we get everything set up, and, wasn't there just a few minutes, and some does start to come out, and about 4:45, the does come back to us and come through my opening, and lo and behold, look up, and here he comes right behind them, grunting and pushing them. And so it's how it happens. That all happens in about 30 seconds. At the time, it seemed like a long time, but we just got lucky enough. We put it all together and put a good hit on him. When I first hit him, the shot looked kind of high to the eye, so we put the arrow in him about 5. We waited in a tree 45 minutes, got down, got the arrow, seen we had really good penetration, so we went back to the house and reviewed the video and opted to wait till 7. We give him a couple hours, and we go back and we start tracking the deer, and it's raining by now and sleeting and snowing, and it's washed all the blood out, and we knew exactly where he went in. And lo and behold, when we get to that spot where we seen him go in, he was literally laying 10 yards from there dead. So he literally had died, before we ever even got out of the tree.
Holy cow. So Let me back up a little bit, Robbie. So this spot that you can only hunt on that east wind, give me a little more detail about it. Are you guys, it was an evening set, I take it, so were you like the woods or right off the bedding or over some food?
No, actually it's cattle pasture. They run cattle in there, but there's a couple of deep ditches in there that's really, really thick, and the does have been bedding in there. Every time I've been there, the does come out. And they come out of there, and then they head to the south. There's a cornfield about, 500 yards to the south. So that's where they're going to feed. So I just set my transition area up in between there and trying to catch them coming and going. And, I've been running cameras, and like I said, that buck has been just kind of bouncing in and bouncing out. And we knew it was just a matter of time before he would, swing in there and pick up a hot doe and stay there. And then that's what happened. We just happened to hit it right.
How, I know you mentioned about the east wind, so how often do you get an east wind, or how long was it previously until you had that opportunity that you could go in there and hunt them again?
It's probably been, I'd say, at least a week since I've been in that tree. So within the last week, I've actually been hunting on the other side of the farm, because I can hunt it with a north or a south or any other kind of wind, which I knew it was a gamble. as far as seeing him, because he hardly ever showed up over there. I had a very few pictures of him, but that was a deer I was after. He's my number one hit list buck. So I wanted to hunt in that area, because you never know, they might make a swing with a doe. And I mean, the last couple of days I knew this front was coming. The weather had cooled down. We're starting to see buck movement, and I was just itching to get in there, but I knew better than to even go in there without the right wind. And I mean, it just paid off. You can't pressure them areas at all with a good buck. I mean, this is a 6.5-year-old deer.
Yeah, no, you're right. Absolutely. So speaking of that, Robbie, give me a little history of, of the past 4 years. You said you've known about them for 4 years, but 6-year-old deer is not easy to trick by any means. So I assume over the past 4 years you've kind of developed a little game plan for this deer, Triple G.
Yeah, we put in a salt lick, in the timber area, and then this past year we've, like I said, when we first got pictures of him, he was just, your average deer, but he did have some splits on his twos, and we thought, it might be something to watch. And then, of course, the next year he got a little bigger, and still, we still wasn't, sold on him being how big he would get or if he'd even make it. And then this year we really started pumping him with big tine feed, through the summer and shock effect. And then he would bounce in every once in a while on my salt lick. And then, but I only had him a couple times on that side of the farm. And so, Blake and I was talking as it was getting closer to season that, this deer, he had to be living west, because we knew that's the direction he always come in from on the camera. And so then I started researching a little bit further out and pushed over to the west side of the farm and started putting in cameras. And then, the first pull of the cameras, I had him coming through an opening. I'm like, well, I know he's showing up over there. And then put out more cameras, and then I started getting him. But, I mean, he wasn't there all the time, but at least he was there. And so just kind of put a game plan together. And actually, the stand, I went in and set the stand, and I set it as a single set, because we always do doubles, because I figured Blake was going to be busy hunting, and I figured I was going to have to self-film him. Well, then after Blake killed his buck, he told me last week, he said, dude, if you can get in there and get another stand, I'll run a camera for you. So, we was talking about how to get in there, because I don't like to pressure the area at all. And, he said, well, can you drive to it? And I said, yeah. He said, just drive your truck right to the bottom of the stand, leave your truck running, put the stand in, because there's farmers around there and they drive trucks in the field. So I did. That's what this midday, around noon, I drove my truck right in underneath of the stand and went up and put the other stand in with my truck running and got in it and left. And literally had pictures of deer, that evening on camera. So it didn't disturb them, and it's a lot less disturbance as it would have been if I would have walked all the way back in there and made all that noise.
Yeah, for sure. I know that's a funny trick, and a lot of people don't do it, but because you actually think you're pressuring it more, but it's the exact opposite. So that was a good move by you guys for sure. Absolutely. So how back or how previously had you gone in there to hang that camera set with Blake?
Let's see, what is today? It was last week, I guess, middle of last week, so about a week. Yeah, 4 or 5 days ago.
About a week.
Yep.
So okay. What was the just getting back to the actual evening of the hunt, Robbie? What was your guys' kind of? I know you had an east wind, but what was your weather and kind of like maybe the barometer like?
I don't know, Blake. What was the barometer? 31. Blake said it was 31. I don't keep up with a lot of that.
So,
I know you should.
High barometer.
I'm an old school hunter. I hunt when I can. If I get a good front.
I don't blame you. That's the best time to hunt.
Yeah, I mean, if I get a good front or something, I'll try to hunt. But I love hunting the rut. I'm a rut hunter. I'm a funnel hunter. That's what I've done all my life, and that's just kind of the way I hunt.
No, nothing wrong with that. No, I was just curious for myself. It's just you learn things. It makes you a better hunter. So I was just curious if you guys had heated anything, but it sounded like you guys had a cold front coming in.
Well, that was the main thing. I mean, the cold front was pushing in. It was cloudy, overcast. It was, probably 35 degrees, 40 for a high at the max. Temperature's falling. we get in the stand about 4. Literally, when we shoot the deer, it's spitting snow. First snow of the year. Perfect wind, 5-10 mile an hour wind out of the northeast. Everything was just picture perfect. And it couldn't come together any better.
No, that's awesome. So the kind of getting back to the beginning of the story, so those does ended up coming out, and he kind of came out to see what was going on in the cow pasture. How, I know you said it kind of went down in about 30 seconds, but how close did he end up getting to you, and what kind of shot did he give you?
Yeah, when the does went across and it went into the wooded area, and then they bounced back out. So we knew something was going on. Well, then they come trotting toward us, and we was like, dude, there's something's happening, because they was kind of skittish, and we knew they didn't have our wind, and we knew they was coming toward us. Well, they come through the opening, and then we heard a grunt. We both heard that grunt, and we was like, but it wasn't a real deep grunt. So, we're thinking, oh, okay, we're going to have a 6-pointer, 8-pointer or something show up. So about that time, we see a deer break out, and at that time, he's probably 40 yards, 45, and through the trees, and I could see, I thought, dang, he's pretty framey. So I'm reaching for my bow, no big hurry, and Blake, he's on the camera, and he sees him. He can tell what he is first because he's running the camera, and as I'm getting a bow, Blake's like, oh my God, that's him, and then I look back down, and I could see them forks on him, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So then we got into go mode, and I got the full draw, and Blake was over the shoulder filming, and he come literally was 20 yards, and he was at kind of almost a trot because he was following them does, and as soon as Blake said I got him, I just, back one time, and he stopped, picture perfect, broadside, 20 yards, and, the rest was history.
Oh, that's awesome. That's such an awesome deer, too. So explain some of that to us, Robbie. I know he's got some real unique characters on those G2s. Awesome beams and awesome height. It's pretty much he's got everything.
Yeah, he is. He's a very unique deer. He's got actually, Blake calls him, what'd you call him? Triple G. I've been kind of calling him the pitchfork because he's got, on both of his G2s, he's split 3 ways and goes up. And he's got 14 scoreable points. He's real heavy. He's a monster of a body of a deer. I know that deer on the hoof had to weigh 300, right in there at least. We just took him to the taxidermy shop, and he caped him out, and he had to get his specialty book out, and the biggest form that he could actually order was the one we had to order for him. This deer is huge, and he actually fooled us on our trail camera pictures because his body was so big, it made his horns look not as big. We was thinking this deer, was low 60s, and when we shot him, when we got up on him there last night, as soon as we got to him, I was like, oh my gosh, this dude's way heavier than we thought he was. He's probably got 6-inch bases, carries mass out, not real wide, but he's got everything else. Just a really, really great deer, and the 6.5-year-old deer to boot.
Yeah, he's super unique. Like, that was the first thing I noticed is his bases and how they go up to his brows, and it carries that right up to the beams, which offset off his head a little ways up, and just makes him super unique. But you can tell that mass right from the get-go.
Yeah, and we run a tape on him there last night because in that Quest contest, we run that rack tape on him. And, when we got to the end, Blake's like, what did he come up with? And I looked at it and I said, you ain't going to believe this, 177. So we was both shocked.
That is awesome. Yeah, such a cool deer. And, everything about him, it looks like he was just rubbing some trees. And you can tell from that, just the picture I've seen, that his body looks as every big as, what you said. So that's just unique. And what do you think, Robbie, he kind of jumped from 5.5 to 6.5 from a year ago, since you kind of increased some of that, feed and supplements?
I'd say probably 20, 25 inches. Because he was a mainframe 8 last year. He might have even done a little better than that. So he made a major, major jump. Usually they don't jump that much between 5 and 6, but he made a big jump. and we we put most of that toward what we're doing with them, how we're managing them, how we're feeding them, how we're taking care of them.
Yeah, it's truly amazing, and I mean that's just such a neat thing if you can achieve that on just even a couple deer a year. To get 20 to 30 inch jump on a deer is pretty awesome. It's rare to say the least, but I know from speaking with Blake over the years, I mean it just seems like it's really possible with the big time and the shock effect that those jumps kind of can happen at that age.
Oh yeah, it made a definite believer out of us, especially this year. I mean, we had a huge growth on deer this year, and next year we're looking forward to even better because we got a lot of good 3-year-olds, and I think it's going to be a great year even next year.
Yeah, that's amazing. So I know that was one of your Missouri tags. So do you have another deer kind of lined up that you can hunt after opening day of gun?
Yeah, well, I can hunt during gun season also. In this particular farm I hunt on, it's a bow hunting farm only. I'm the only one that can hunt it, and I can only bow hunt it, but I can bow hunt it during gun season if I want to. There is another buck in there that he was just kind of bouncing in and out. I think this buck kept him pushed out, but I'd say he's going to take over, and I'd say that deer's probably mid-60s as a 10-pointer. So he's probably going to get put up on that list.
Yeah, that's a good deer, mid-60s. I mean, that'd be a banner year for anybody to shoot those two deer.
Yes. Yeah, like I said, Blake and I have been real fortunate these last 2 weeks. He killed a 160 a couple of weeks ago, and then we killed this one last night. So evidently what we're doing is working for us for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't argue that at all. So Blake didn't pull that, I forgot to hit the record button, did he?
No, but I've got a curse, and he was adamant to get that broke because 3 years ago I shot a 160. That was my biggest at the time with a bow, and we had JD, he's our editor for the show, been running the camera 15 years, and he did double punch the button, and we did not get that on video. I had turkey video that Blake, it just, something happened, and we didn't get the video. I mean, it's been like that for me for, I self-film, and I've killed some really good deer. I killed a 215-inch deer 4 years ago, and I didn't get no video with it. So I've been kind of cursed with the video thing. So Blake was adamant that he was going to get this done, and it was real close to messing up then because he had a little bit of malfunction with the camera when the deer was coming in, and he was about to panic because when I was coming to full draw, he was going, no, and I get locked in, and he's like, no, and then all of a sudden he's like, okay, and boom, and then he told me what had happened. He said, man, I was freaking out. I thought, oh my gosh, it's going to happen again. But we got it done. We got great video. It's some of the best video you'll ever see. I mean, he laid down some awesome footage on this one.
Man, that's super exciting. I know you said he ran off the field, and from where you seen him, he only went 10 more yards. So when you got to that spot, I mean, did you practically see him right then, or did you walk up on him and just like, oh, holy cow, there he is?
Yeah, we, like I say, we went back and just tried to track him, but like I said, it was raining, it was sleeting, and we'd pick up a little blood here and there, but it washed almost all of it out. And then once we got to the edge of the timber, we picked up a few more spots, and I was looking with my light ahead because you never know, if you got a real good lethal shot or not. I mean, it looks good, but you're not sure. So I'm looking for eyes to make sure if he is alive that we back out. And, I'm looking through the timber for eyes, and I could see the tips of his horns laying. And literally the deer died on his feet, and he's head first into some trees and bulldozed some trees. His horns was hung up in the trees. So, I mean, he literally died as he was running.
Wow, that's pretty wild. Well, how unique, man, and congratulations, Robbie. It's such a great deer and a cool story, and neat that you knew of that deer for so long, and, congrats to Blake for getting it on film for you.
All right, man, we appreciate it.
Absolutely. And we'll see you guys next week, and as you know, you can find us every week on iTunes and the Unfiltered Outdoor app, and we'll see you guys then.